Donald Trump's administration is in absolute shambles right now, and that brings such a smile to my face because we are mere hours away from elections across the country that will devastate Donald Trump and are going to blow up his term, not just because Gavin Newsom has hit back against Donald Trump's attempts to rig the midterm elections, but because in New Jersey, in Virginia, and in New York City, there will be Democrats elected ready to fight back against Donald Trump and resist his authoritarian takeover. And it is the reason why we saw Stephen Miller collapse on air tonight as Donald Trump posted a wild tantrum. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that clip of Miller completely imploding and breaking down, and of course that Trump post, I want to start with one of the biggest reasons for their freakout is Governor Gavin Newsom right here.
It's great to be back here. And I'll just conclude with this. Jen said it. Other speakers said it. Donald Trump is nothing more than weakness masquerading as strength. Why else do you need to make a phone call to Greg Abbott in the middle of the midterm redistricting? Unless you're weak. You saw today, Donald Trump one-upped himself. Historic president. Historically unpopular president. The most unpopular since his first term. He's underwater in every key category. He knows he's going to lose the midterm elections, period, full stop. That's why he made the call to Greg Abbott saying he's entitled to 5 seats. That's why he sent J.D. Vance to Indiana. That's why he moved them to make the decision they did in Missouri. That's why they moved in North Carolina. These guys are not screwing around.
Keep saying it, Gavin. Continue to hit home this point. Donald Trump is weak. He is weak. It is what we see again and again and again, not just at home, where Donald Trump is losing lawsuits at about a 95% clip, where he is unable to negotiate his way out of a government shutdown that is making him more unpopular than he has ever been, and really maybe even that we ever thought he could be. And then you look abroad. World leaders are laughing at Donald Trump either to his face or behind his back. They're treating him like a child. When he went on his trip to Asia, he was given a gold crown and served essentially what was a Happy Meal because world leaders understand that Donald Trump is insecure and a baby with limited is not even the word, no foreign policy expertise. This is not a man who understands diplomacy. They are playing him because they know he is stupid and he is cognitively deteriorated. And so Donald Trump is freaking out right now. He is lashing out, and so are his stooges like Stephen Miller, who started his breakdown of an appearance on Fox saying this before we get into the rest of it and Trump's post.
We are dealing with a party that is so extreme that considers its opponents to be its mortal enemies, that dehumanizes its opposition.
It is Democrats who dehumanize our opponents. Carolyn Levitt just the other week said that every single Democrat was a terrorist sympathizing domestic criminal who wants to destroy America as we know it, and it's us. Stephen Miller talks about Americans who he doesn't like, who don't look like him, thank God, the disgusting figure that he is, don't pray like him, don't love like him, as subhuman, and he treats them that way. He goes after American citizens with his illegal ICE goons, and he only continued to ramp up his fear-mongering and hate, talking about Zoran right here before we get into Trump's post.
As far as New York is concerned, as you've talked about, as we've said, unfortunately, the anti-Mamdani vote is being split between Cuomo and Sliwa. And President Trump tonight put out a statement being clear that if you vote for Sliwa, who's polling at about a third of where Cuomo is, you're just throwing your vote away. The anti-Mamdani vote, which is really the pro-New York City vote, the pro-America vote, needs to unite behind the leading candidate, and that's Andrew Cuomo.
So it is very clear that Stephen Miller understands that when Zoran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City, he is not going to capitulate like Eric Adams has. He would not bend the knee like Andrew Cuomo has already promised he would. So make sure that you are voting, if you have not already, for Zoran Mamdani, because he is making Stephen Miller lose his mind, because he knows His plan won't work against Iran. He is ready to stand up to this administration, and it's why Donald Trump is posting a meltdown right now on Truth Social. Trump wrote on Truth Social, if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home because of the fact that, as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. In this post that I don't need to read any more of, he goes on to endorse Andrew Cuomo. Now, why is Donald Trump endorsing Andrew Cuomo? Well, it's because criminals like them like to stick together. Corrupt individuals like them like to stick together. Billionaire-funded puppets of the worst oligarchs in our country like to stick together. But it is also because Donald Trump is very, very afraid of Zohran Mamdani. He is terrified of someone with the leadership ability, the vision, let's be real, the good looks and charisma, who is going to stand up to this fascist takeover and say, not just no, but go fuck yourself, Donald Trump. You are not coming into New York City. You are not going to do it. The city has rejected Donald Trump again and again and again, and they will continue to under Zohran's leadership. And if that is not enough to sell you on his candidacy, a Donald Trump endorsement of Cuomo, an Elon Musk endorsement of Cuomo, Stephen Miller freaking out and saying that this man is going to destroy New York and the Democratic Party and the country as we know it because he's a communist. If those people freaking out and attacking Zohran is not enough for you, if that does not seal the deal already, then I really hope this clip right here does. You should watch it in full.
You know, we continue to be confident about what tomorrow will look like for us, but I do think New Yorkers must understand that Andrew Cuomo waited until the final day before the election to have this be revealed. He wanted to be able to make the message to Democrats that he was in fact the governor that he said he was, and then right at the last moment, the last opportunity to fully embrace the MAGA movement that we have long said he is tied to.
So Trump also posted, so he endorses Cuomo, okay? Then he also talked about you, referring to you as a communist. I believe last time we talked, I don't know how many times I had of him calling you a communist. That's not new. But he said, if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. Okay, what do you think that means? Other than very minimum as required, could be an important clause, I suppose, in that sentence. But if he says unlikely is going to contribute federal funds, I mean, what happens then? What will you do if that's how he goes?
Well, I think you can clearly see that Donald Trump is threatened by our campaign. He's threatened by it because, like his, we've diagnosed the crisis in working class New Yorkers' lives, the cost of living. But unlike him, we're actually going to deliver on that. And that is a contrast that he can't bear to see. Because while he is spending $300 million remodeling a White House ballroom, the same amount of money that could provide SNAP benefits for 100,000 New Yorkers, he's trying to make it harder for Americans across the country to actually afford groceries. And this money that we're talking about, it's money that New York City is owed. It's not Donald Trump's to decide which city or state will get what money. This is the money that New Yorkers are owed, and this is the money that we're going to fight for.
Okay, so Trump is not the only one talking about you tonight. Elon Musk is actually talking about you.
What a pair.
And obviously Musk had supported him, was crucial to his election victory. They had their falling out, but they're back together again. Elon posts about you, remember to vote tomorrow in New York. Bear in mind that a vote for Curtis, referring to Curtis Sliwa, whom I just mentioned, is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is, vote Cuomo. All right. Why do you think he's speaking out against you? And obviously, the personal insult is in there as well, Mamdani.
Look, I think this is one of the more expensive endorsements that Andrew Cuomo has ever gotten because it took $959 million in tax breaks that he gave Elon Musk for Elon Musk's pet projects back when Cuomo was the governor. And we're seeing the two twin architects of this second term of Donald Trump's presidency in the president himself and Elon Musk saying clearly to New Yorkers that their candidate is Andrew Cuomo. And they've picked Andrew Cuomo because they know that he will be the puppet that they want right here in New York City. And he's showing himself to not just be that, but also to be their parrot in the language that he's using to close out this election.
Okay, you talk about billionaires, and there have been some really wealthy individuals who have come out and put money in PACs against you in recent days, right? Former Mayor Michael Bloomberg among them. There are plenty of other business leaders who, in private, are afraid. They have concern. There are very few who actually will talk about it publicly, but one of them is Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, and I'm thinking about this in light of Trump calling you a communist. Jamie Dimon did not call you a communist. He was more intellectual about it. He said, what does he really think? You know, he was part of that socialist democratic thing, which literally is more Marxist than socialist. And I read it, but I don't know what he believes in that. All right, so I guess he's basically saying he's not really sure where you stand on things. But what do you say to that concern? Is Marxist something you're comfortable with?
No, I'm a democratic socialist, and I've said it time and again. When was that quote from Jamie Dimon?
From Jamie Dimon. It was from Fortune last week.
Okay.
A Fortune conference last week.
Because what he's also come out and said in public is that in our success, this is something that business leaders would also hope for the success of the city. And I put that forward to say that despite where New Yorkers may stand on my candidacy, whatever qualms they may have, they know that I'm actually being honest with them about my ideas, about who I'm looking to fight for. And that's sadly unique in this race. Because what you have is someone in Andrew Cuomo who spent the entirety of a primary campaign on the premise that he was the best suited to take on Donald Trump. And here we are with the chyron that Donald Trump is endorsing Andrew Cuomo.
So let me ask you, because that was October 17th, so it was actually a week and a half ago. But I want to ask you, because you asked me when he said that. Are you talking to him? Are people like that people that you're going to sit down with and eagerly work with, or not?
Look, I'll have conversations with anyone. And I've spoken to Jamie Dimon briefly, and I've spoken to a number of other business leaders across the city about my proposals. I know that there are disagreements around my fiscal policy, that I think we should raise income taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more a year by 2%, or the fact that I think corporations' top tax rate should be matching what they pay in New Jersey. And still, there is room for an immense amount of agreement on what it means to bring the city forward, and I'll always leave that door open.
This is what we need from the next generation of leadership in the Democratic Party. I have been proud to be a longtime supporter of Zohran Mamdani. I'm excited to see him win this mayoral election, and I am very excited to see how much it triggers Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, the big losers and the big babies that they are. He is going to fight them. They are going to lose. We are going to cover it all. If you want to support that, especially on Election Day, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And for all of the updates you're going to need to know, you can ring that notification bell as well. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.